Just when we got people thinking about AI and, what they could do with generative AI, now we have agentic AI. And how do we create reactions and, trigger different tasks and all these kinds of things to save people more time. So I've been having more and more conversations with more and more boards that say, okay, we can no longer ignore this. What should we do? Which is really exciting because I think technology can be intimidating for a lot of folks that are not deeply invested in it. And just start brainstorming, what are the sources of pain that we could potentially alleviate? And then we start exploring each of those to say, what is the root of this problem? Is this a process problem? Is this a legacy thinking problem? Is this this could be automated problem? Because then that helps us evaluate, is this something that we need to eliminate, automate, or add AI to? Because the answer is going to be different based on what you're trying to accomplish. AI may be the answer, but we don't want to start with, you know, deciding that AI is the answer up front. Not the 3-year strategic plan. Where are you going to be 10 years from now? What is the big audacious goal? And then having them explain to me what are the challenges or the blockers that are standing in the way of them achieving that. Because, as you look at the research around, all the AI experiments that fail, the common thread for the ones that are successful is that they're mission aligned. They are in direct alignment with the strategic plan of the organization. They're not the shiny object. They're not the, let's experiment with this thing that we really don't care about. Let's experiment with the stuff that we really do care about, but do it in safe and structured ways. Because I think our perceptions of what's possible have not caught up to what's actually possible because it's been moving so fast. So that's really fun and exciting to see not only the light bulbs go off with it would be really cool if we did this, to yeah, let's go do that. One of the interesting assets that you can actually attach to your application is a sample press release. So a lot of people have learned about Amazon's working backwards process where we create a press release, an FAQ document. And it's a fictitious press release,
For
but what
the
it really
initiative that
does
they're trying to tackle. Yeah.
Yeah, keep it
is so
simple.
as
Like
part
instead
of
of
that.
giving a 27-page proposal, what
Mhm.
could you say in a press release?
Mm.
Mhm.
I like that.
And you
Mhm.
attach the press release, and it's not something that you're ever going to put out there publicly, but it
Mm.
tells the story in a very concise way of what is your predicted impact of this. And we strongly encourage them to include what their customer testimonial would be. And it will probably be multiple years, but what our vision is to help accelerate the velocity of change in associations.
That's a big
It,
undertaking.
it is a big undertaking, but I think for so long,
Hmm.
the nonprofit sector and the association sector has frequently lagged behind the commercial sector for a variety of very good reasons.
Hmm.
However,
Are they good
as
reasons, though?
I think they're less relevant reasons than they used to be,
Thank you.
where before it was we can't afford this, we don't have the technical
Yeah,
expertise,
right.
we don't have the support resources that we need, we don't have the education and guidance that we need, and we don't have board support to do these things. I think all of that legacy thinking is shifting very, very quickly in organizations where a lot of the transformation initiatives are coming from the boards. They're saying you must embrace this. There are more and more folks coming into the workforce who are digital natives, who are very comfortable and entrenched in these technologies. And I think that we are finally getting to a place where silos are coming down in a lot of associations that have been standing in the way for way too long, where we can have a more enterprise-wide approach to things. We can think of different ways of solving problems together. And there's more opportunities of what we can do once we bring all of the data together. We can start visualizing it. We can start making data-informed decisions in a way that we couldn't before. So I think it's a good time to be really audacious in what we're trying to do.
Mhm.
How do we create a culture that supports experiment and learn mindsets? The
Hmm.
one thing that all of our TPAC members have in common is they're really curious about technology.
Oh, that's so great.
And no matter what department or team or type of organization they come from, they're all curious about technology. Well, we need to create internal teams in our associations that are not only curious about technology, but we provide them with the running space to actually conduct experiments. Because we only, as a parent, I know that my kids will learn a whole lot more by experimentation than they will about reading about something. So that can be challenging for many organizations to give the space for people to experiment and the emotional safety around failure. Because most experiments will fail. Because if we knew what was going to happen, it wasn't an experiment, right? And so we need to give people the safe space that yes, a large number of your experiments will fail, and that is expected. And what can we learn from that? So that people feel comfortable in trying new things and iterating, because you can't invent, you can't simplify processes, you can't do something that's brand new if you don't feel safe to do that. My friend Tori Liu, called me one day and said, I really think that senior level executives don't know how to have conversations in their organizations around AI. And can we do a project together? So the Executive Management Council collaborated with the Technology Professionals Council with the goal of, can we help instruct and facilitate effective conversations in an association around AI? So we did some kind of interactive conversation from both an executive and a technical perspective to put together kind of a step-by-step guide that focuses on what are the key questions that organizations need to be asking of each other in order to create effective AI policy and strategy. The way I do it that I think is the most fun is I bring a diverse group of stakeholders into the room and we start talking about what the challenges are. And I give people post-it notes and Sharpies and they start writing down things, one idea to each post-it note. And each person gets up and they present things on the wall. We very quickly see repetitive groupings, things that we bring together where multiple people are thinking along the same lines or thinking about similar challenges. But you have to not filter yourself. Don't think about feasibility, don't think about cost, don't think about resources. Don't think about will my board say no. Just if you could do anything, what would that look like? And then we start ideating and start grouping ideas. Then I like to give people stickers. They go around, they upvote things. And then we'll do things based on what is the level of potential impact that this thing would have and balance that with what is the level of effort and ROI that we would see from it. Start putting that on a 2x2. At the end, you have a roadmap to say these are the big audacious goals that we want to strive towards. Here are what our initial, what this would be our minimal lovable product. And this is how we could build on that over time. But because everyone was involved in the brainstorming and the conversation, there's a vested ownership of what comes out of that, as opposed to it comes from one team and they want to experiment with that. And that's great. But where I find the most excitement and momentum is when we bring a diverse group of people together and start exploring it together. Always
really
give your always give your prompt a persona. Tell it who it is and what you expect of it, and you'll get much higher quality